test then what you are going to do. If you are grammar or I don't, oh, we don't, you're not linguistics, then your test is very objective, and it should have, if it is for third year, of course, it is longer, at least 7 different entries or sections. If it is for 2 years, probably 5. And if it is composition, in composition, again, you can go mixed. You can go objective, subjective, whatever. And conversation, well, conversation is, it depends on what you're teaching. You can also go mixed. In speech, I guess most of the time is just subjective. Since we don't have a scale, you have to provide then, whenever you're applying a composition test, a rubric. The internet is full of rubrics, but they do not reflect the standards of Panamanian UP, University of Panama. So you need to make that adaptation. And how do I adapt that, professor? Because of your standards. So if in the US, students in junior, let's say third year, they are able to write full essays, that's their native language. So you cannot use that rubric and apply that to Panama. So you need to play with that. So how much do I expect from my students in composition in third year? And then talk to the ones, what we call specialists, those who have been teaching that for a long time. And then maybe you can have an insight of what to expect. And then you may take the rubric from the internet, but then you make adaptations. I don't want to have a rubric for a different country. That won't work. All right, that won't work. Questions so far? So in your test, I want your test and your rubric if you are in composition and conversation. In grammar, you don't need rubric. It's just 1 point, 1 point, 2 points, whatever. All right, go ahead.
Professor, I was going to ask about composition test. For example, if I'm testing different things, let's say that I'm testing the usage of connectors, transitional words. I'm also testing organization. So within the same, let's say, entry or within the same part, can I test them all, or I need to have them like separate? Because that's the thing that we have in separate.
No, separate. Let's say you give them a paragraph, and this is very objective. You take a paragraph from internet and you delete the connectors. If connectors is what you're testing, you provide that to them to see if they are using the same connectors as the one you have here. If they do, and then you add 1 point per connector. So 10 points, 10 connectors. You use them or you didn't use them. Now, if the student use a connector that you think, well, it may also be used, then you give the point. That is your decision. But it is pretty objective. You know, the student's paper should reflect or be pretty similar or almost the same as the one you have from internet. You see, from a native speaker piece of paper. So that is, you know, even within composition, it is objective. Yep. But when I'm saying subjective, and this has happened a lot, people, usually you test students in writing paragraphs. When they write a paragraph, who is teaching here conversation? Who's teaching, or not teaching, sorry. Who is going to test conversation second year or sophomore? Third year. Who's in the conversation?
Jairo, Professor Yasmin, and Brenda.
Okay, Hasmina, are you in the paragraph section? Hasmina.
Sorry. Yes, I'm here, Professor.
Okay. Are you in the paragraph section?
In the paragraph?
Paragraph section. So what do we test in a paragraph?
Professor, did you say conversation or composition?
Composition. Composition.
Oh, composition is us, Professor.
The thing is that you said conversation, Professor.
I'm sorry. Composition.
Yeah, it's us. It's us.
Okay, you and who else, Edgar?
Samuel, Pedro Pablo, and Alvaro. 240.
Okay, Alvaro, are you there? Alvaro.
Yes, Professor. Good morning.
Morning. Alvaro, in paragraph writing, what are the things professors usually look for?
Well, a paragraph must have a good topic sentence, good supporting points, coherence among the different lines, good spelling, whatever.
All right. Are you sure?
Yes, professor.
Remember, people, my dear students, that you took composition, and that was a very long course. Supposedly, and in quotation marks, you're supposed to be experts in composition. So a paragraph has, number one, what is the first component of a paragraph that you are going to? Topic sentence.
The topic
Is that right?
sentence. Yep.
Okay. Number two,
Yeah, controlling ideas, supporting ideas. Supporting ideas, sorry.
okay, and number three?
The conclusion or concluding sentence of a paragraph.
No, I'm talking about in the introduction.
I would say, Professor, that the hook of the paragraph. Otherwise, the reader is not interested in what I'm saying about.
Okay, very good. So there is the topic, the hook, and the controlling ideas. And then you start developing your controlling ideas. This is pretty much the components of a paragraph. So this is objective, you may say. So what are the components of a paragraph? What are the components of an essay? And so on and so forth. You see, there is no way that people may say something different. But then when it comes to the other things that you are expecting students to do is when you are in trouble. For example, controlling ideas. Now we're moving from a paragraph to, let's say, an essay. So every first paragraph has the first controlling ideas, and then you start developing. In your rubric, you have to say exactly what are you going to measure. You're not measuring the existence of a controlling idea because that is already objective. What you're going to measure in a rubric is how deep students analyze things, or if students move from one idea to the next smoothly, or they just jump. But here is the problem, my dear. When a university professor teaching composition doesn't write and doesn't read, do you think he or she can develop standards? The more you read people, the more efficient you become in writing. And you know why? Do you know why? Well, this is second language acquisition. You learn that in second language acquisition. Why? Why is reading so good for human beings? What happens when you read a lot? What do you acquire?
Words, patterns of writing.
Okay, Edgar, thank you very much. But I would like to listen to the other students.
Okay.
You see, at the end,
Professor,
when I see
we get knowledge.
Edgar got 70. Listen, Edgar got 77. Edgar needs 4 points to have a B to pass the course. Then I remember he was all the time talking nonsense, but he was talking. I'll give the 4 points to Edgar. But if I never listen to your voice, if you get 77, you'll get 77. That's it. So think it twice. You should talk. So how can you be a teacher? People, how can you be a teacher and you never say a word in my classes? So what do you do as a teacher? You never ask your students to participate? So if you ask them to participate, why don't you participate yourself? You see, that's double standards. So a teacher should be someone who talks a lot. You see? And then after, when you retire, you keep on talking by yourself. That is the norm. Because teachers are, by definition, people who love to talk. So why aren't you talking? What is the problem?
This is Fernandez. And,
Fernandez, finally, he woke up.
I was listening to the whole lecture. And
I
the
don't
thing
think
that
so. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, like I got a couple of questions that you already answered on the road, and one of those is like, so you're talking about the expectation of conversational skills in English professors at CRU, or at least in Universidad of Panama. But like, and this is a question that I might really wanted to ask you. Like, what are the expectations that you have, like, from us, from master students? Like, what should our conversational skills be in this case?
Well, masters do not seek only conversational skills, people. If you want to have good conversational skills, you can take a 6 month seminar in the US or UK or whatever, and you're going to be pretty good. But teaching at the university is more than that. All right. Teaching at a university involves knowledge of many things. All right. For example, did I tell you that I teach composition? Did I tell you I teach composition? Do you know if I teach composition?
No.
Yes,
I don't
you.
think so, Professor. Because you like mostly like grammar courses
I've
and
never
kind of
taught composition.
Yeah, from what
Only,
I remember,
only
from the
once,
BA, no.
only once, probably 200 years ago. But recently, I never. Question: do I know composition? Do you think I know composition?
I guess
Yes, of
yes.
course.
Why? If I don't teach that, why do I know composition?
Because you like to read too much.
Because I write. Because I write. So I need to read. I need to know the APA style, 7th edition. I need to know how to cite. I need to know the structure of different types of essays. I've written a lot. That's why I know. You see, I can teach composition without no preparation. Am I a specialist in composition? No, I'm not a specialist. I don't teach composition. I'm a specialist in what I teach. Don't forget, you are a specialist in what you teach. So, what is specialist, professor? Specialist is someone you ask anything, and he and she answers in what she is specialist. So, I am in grammar, as you said, linguistic, which I already wrote a book, and I am also in this SLA techniques, stuff like that of teaching. Even though I am not good at knowing how children learn, that I did not pay attention to, and I am not interested, because I need to take, even though I took psycholinguistics, I am not very sure about how, that little brain works, the little brains of children. So children's little brains, I don't know. And I'm not interested that much. That's why I'm not a teacher, because for me, I don't feel any motivation teaching children. So yes, you see, ask me about literature. Am I a specialist? No. Do I know literature? Of course. We have to know many things. So I wish professors were, really, really interested in the academic world. All right. And remember, specialists are usually crazy. So I am not the exception of the rule. So sometimes I'm crazy. I know that, but because that is normal in people who read. So reading gives you a sense, that thing that nobody can teach you. It is a sense of how the English language works. The more you read, you see, your brain is something really amazing, people. You read and you're not paying attention to the structure. You're paying attention to the message, but your brain is paying attention to the structures. Didn't you learn that in second language acquisition? Did you learn that? How amazing your brain is? Not you, your brain. So you are getting as a byproduct. Byproduct means something that you're not focused on, but then you get it and then you say, why did I use this? I don't remember I learned it from any course. No, you didn't learn it from any course. You learned it while you were reading a piece of writing from a native speaker or anyone who speaks a language, English, and then you say, oh, wow. Yeah. So the more you read, the more your writings resemble the second language. The less you read and you start writing, your writing will be exactly a translation from Spanish. For example, this is what is done at the moment of speaking. That comes from Spanish. At the moment of speaking. English is not like that. English is very straightforward. English is not flourished. That you learn in composition. All right? As they are very straight to the point, the same way they read, they write. Spanish, we go around the bush speaking, and so the way we write is exactly like that. Go around the bush. And remember when we say, go to the point. Okay, professor, I'm going to get to the point. But then you have talked for half an hour, and I'm still waiting for the main point. Understand how English is different from Spanish? But if you don't know those things because you don't read, your piece of writing in English will resemble exactly the structure of the Spanish language, and that is a problem. That is a problem when you are going to write for, let's say, scholarship or a piece of writing for a program in another country. They will say, no, this is not good. But what is wrong? Structured. What do you mean by structure? Well, the way English presents information is different from the way Spanish does. So that you learn in composition courses and by reading. So reading gives you structure. Reading gives you vocabulary. All right? Well, people don't like to read. Too bad, but that should be something that a must. A must. All right. Any other question, Fernandez?
A question, Professor Carpintero.
Go ahead.
Professor, now that you are talking about test, I just wanted to see your opinion regarding to the test the department applied to the other bachelor. And I was reading that many students from the Comarca and some other extensiones, they are failing on that test. So is that a proficiency test or
what test are you talking about? What test, Carpintero?
The one that they need to get the diploma.
Okay. Oh, diploma. You mean the proficiency test, the one that I applied?
No, for the other bachelor.
Okay. So that is a proficiency test. Yes. Why they are failing? I guess many people are failing. Not only those from La Comarca, but you know the education there is deficient. That is a well-known fact. How deficient? We don't know. Nobody has done research. You could do that if you like to have credentials in the academic world, then go ahead and do research. We know, we have the perception that instructions in those places, well, Pedro Pablo knows better because he has always worked in that place, that they do not teach what they are supposed to be teaching is something that we have the perception that is happening. Samuel also knows. But Samuel, is that true that you guys don't teach what you're supposed to teach? Samuel?
Well, as I mentioned before, I try to teach what I am supposed to teach. But
Okay,
I don't know the rest.
Pedro Pablo, what do you teach, Pedro?
Or Pablo, yeah, Professor. Yeah, Professor. I started 2020, so it was the model, the virtual way. So I included the topic, the content that I was supposed to teach.
So, yeah. But what have you taught? If I ask you, what is your
area? I started with that was legal English and grammar 1. That was in 2020, and last year it was English for communication.
Okay, Vasquez, I'm going to ask you a question. If I give you, Vasquez, if you are moved to Santiago, and I give you fundamentals of the English language. That is 450. And I tell you, you have to teach the theories of learning, methods of teaching, techniques, planning, and assessment. Do you know those things? And if you do, where did you learn those things?
Well, Professor, I'll try to read and get prepared for that course.
No. When you teach at the university, it's because you know. Otherwise, I would take my construction worker and I say, I'm going to ask you to teach at the university. Start reading and teach that. So we don't do that. University is serious. So do you know that or you don't? Seriously.
Well,
if you say,
well, you know that it is just let's say that experience. So you are going to get experience through the years.
No. That's illegal. You cannot say, I'm going to start teaching to get some experience. In 20 years, I'm going to be an experienced person. But then what is going to happen in those 20 years? The students are your guinea pigs? Conejillo de Indias? No. So, Pedro Vasquez, don't you have a degree that says teaching English or didactic of English using technology? Didn't you have a degree saying didactic of English?
Yeah, Professor.
And do you have the didactic of English? What I told you is didactic. 450 is a didactic course. You see? So what is happening with you? So don't criticize other people. Why do you take degrees that are teaching you something different? Because if you come to Santiago Vasquez and I give you that, and I know that you don't know, you will be in trouble. So why do you spend money in master programs that don't teach you what you're supposed to learn? And Oteima is full of my students. Why? Because it is shorter, because it doesn't teach what you're supposed to learn. Even though I have also even though this program, the one that you're taking now is difficult, students are, interested in taking it. But also those other places, they are full of people. So that's a lie. Philosophy of life, that is a lie. You get a degree, but you don't get knowledge. Okay? Meduca is full of places where you can buy the diplomas. You see what happened in San Miguelito, right? So, what kind of teachers do we have? What kind of teachers are teaching my children when they are able to present fake diplomas to get a position? What do you call that? Samuel, what do you call that?
Corruption.
So do you think teachers, and don't say, do you think shouldn't teachers have a profile? Let's say Edgar, you see Edgar is 20 something. And Edgar, everyone knows Edgar likes kids.
22.
Edgar likes kids. Don't you think Meduca should think it twice? This guy doesn't like anything else but kids. So he cannot be a teacher. He's a problem. So don't you think teachers should have a profile? Don't you think in Panama we should have decent teachers? Because there is
Professor, and now it's a little bit better. At least it's a little bit better because in the past, if you had other kind of diplomas that were not of your field, you could get points. Like, for instance, you had a cooking course from INADE, and that gave you points.
Nobody said anything, right? Teachers were quiet. Nobody said.
Well, teachers were taking a lot of those courses.
Some of them were for real, and some of them were fake. And they just had a lot of points. And result, we have a lot of teachers in positions like supervisors, but their head is empty because they got points like that, not for real. So Meduca became a business. We all know that. And the university is walking in that direction. It's walking in that direction. Now in virtuality, that is happening. They teach half an hour. Actually, I took one of those seminars, 20 hours. I only went there one time and they gave me the diploma. I took one in Panama virtually. And I said, no, I don't know how to do this. I'm quitting. And they sent me the diploma. Is that